Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henry. I have so much to talk about on this podcast. February is such a short month, but yet there's just so much to cover. Now, since January, I have been prepping men and women for Valentine's Day because that is a very, very important day for some. Um, I've always said love that specific person each and every day, but we're going to get on that in a little bit. But we have a lot to cover. You will be hearing a lot of rattling of papers. Hopefully, I'll try to keep it as quiet as possible. May have to take a break because, like I said, I have a lot to cover. So, one of the important things about February is that it would be my dad's birthday, or it is my dad's birthday on February 8th. And so I will be wishing him happy birthday on that day, which is tomorrow for me, because of course this is pre recorded. And my dad was just a wonderful man, took good care of his family. But the next important thing that we need to talk about is this is very important for America because it is Black History Month. A lot of people are going, Black History Month. Well, why? I'll tell you why. Because this is a month for celebrating those African Americans who have struggled. And this is also a time to celebrate for their great grandparents, their great great grandparents, and their grandparents, because there's so many things you can look up, many many moons, and they did struggle to get where they are now. That sounds horrible because guess what? We're all the same. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter how you speak. We all are born and we all die. So, no one is better than anyone else. I have a problem with that. But anyway, I just do. But I want to talk about someone really, really special that you probably may have heard about. And her name was Dorothy Vaughan. Yes, this is going to be like a history lesson of a podcast, but it's so interesting. So we'll be talking about Valentine's Day. We'll be talking about all sorts of history, but it's that's about February. But this is about Dorothy Vaughan. I don't know how many of you saw the movie, and it was called Hidden Figures. Well, Dorothy Vaughan, you don't hear much about her, but she was played by Octavia Spencer, which I just love this actress. And she was born in 1910 in Kansas City, and she had a BA in mathematics. But in 1943, she was hired by NACA, matters how you would like the pronunciation of that. And that stands for the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics. This movie is really good. So unless you want to get out Google history and look that up, so it's just so interesting. So she was hired and she was very well respected, and she was the first African American manager at NASA, which that is an accomplishment, especially during that time. Uh, Dorothy, she came to, well, listen to me, Dorothy, like we're best friends. Dorothy Vaughan came to Langley Memorial Aeronautic Laboratory in 1943. And during this time, it was the height of World War II. So she, leaving her position as a math teacher, and look, she was amazing. She was one of the first Black supervisors and of NACA, and a few female supervisor that they had at that time. But she was an amazing woman, and she also had some other African American women who were part of this group. And it just, at that time, for her to accomplish what she did is absolutely amazing. She not only was the first African American woman to receive a promotion at NASA. She was also an expert in Fortran. It was a front runner of electronic computer programming. Now, you think back in the day, we didn't know much about computers, and here you had this mathematician that was able to help with the NASA program. So she passed away in 2008 at 98, and she was just an amazing woman. So if you, I mean, you hear about other um, heroes or legends, but this is just one that you don't hear much about. And if you do have a chance, look it up, look her up, look up the movie because it was really, really good. It was very interesting. So don't forget, this is a very important month in celebrating Black History Month. And it is a well deserved month for those from the past and the present and for the future. So now we are going to talk about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is such a big deal, and I just found out that Valentine's Day is actually um celebrated around the world, which that really surprised me. But here I'm going to tell you that love is very important to me and to many people. Amor. And amor, would you believe that is the same way you say it in Spanish and Italian? Um, I in Japanese means love. And I wish I could tell you some more, but I think that's all for now that you want to hear my translations. Um, there is, going back to movies, there is a movie that was in 2010. It was called Valentine's Day. Of course, I'm sure you were for the horror movie fans. There was one back in the 70s or 80s called My Bloody Valentine. You always have to have, I'm sure I've watched it. I used to like those kind of movies, but not anymore. But anyway, so this was a really good movie too. It was just if you need a cute girls movie or just something for you to watch alone on Valentine's Day. It has a lot of actors and actresses. Of course, they were very young. Julia Roberts, Anne Hathaway, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Garner, who I love. Anyway, tons of actors and different storylines, but it was really cute what I remember. I haven't seen it in a while. Perhaps I will watch it for Valentine's Day. So, Valentine's is a very important day to many. To me, it is the day of delight or delightfulness. Let's say a day of delight or a day of dread. And that sounds horrible, but it is true. Some people dread this day, men and women. Why? Because they don't have a special someone in their life. There's different types of love. There's your family, your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, friend, blended families. There's all sorts of types of love. But on this one day, that it's a happy day for some, but not for others, and that is kind of sad because you you may be not the one at the office that you're not going to get a dozen roses. I remember when I worked at the school, people would get roses or flowers and they would get them at the end of the day, sometimes the next day, because it's just crazy. And flowers are so expensive right now. So you need to give that significant other a little bit of a break if you don't get something. Of course, some of us like the big production of, oh, I hope he asked me to marry him or she asked me to marry her, uh, because you need that, but you really shouldn't. I mean, you love that person for who they are. That is, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just as you get older too, and if you've been in a relationship as I have been, it's just it's important. It is important, I guess. Like Christmas is definitely the birth of Christ is important, but Valentine's Day is a wonderful time to say I love you, but I'm hoping that all of you tell the people that you care so much about every day as I love you. And for you who have parents and you feel like, "Oh, well, it's not about that." You know what? Pick up the phone, send them a text and say, "Happy Valentine's. I love you." Because that will mean so much to them. You may not think it will, and they may say, "What the heck are they? Why are they doing that?" But you know what? It will mean a special something that you took the time and the effort to tell your parent, grandparent, or whoever, Happy Valentine's. So, of course, most of the ladies have a thing now, and it's called Galentines. I have participated in a Galentines, and it's a lot of fun, and I've had done it because I'm definitely in a relationship, and some of the others were, and some of them were not. And it was just fun. We exchanged gifts, we drew names, and we got each other silly little gifts, and it was just a fun thing to do with girls. If you have friends that wanna do that, it's a fun thing to do, it really was, and I guess the guys could do it, could call it Guy-Latines. I don't know if guys would do that, just go have a beer. Don't call it anything and just buy each other beer. So, it is, a crazy time, a lot of people it's expensive, it can be expensive. Look, we just got over Christmas, and a lot of people are still probably paying on their Christmas credit cards, so be be accepting if you get a card. Be accepting if they take the time to make you dinner because they don't have to do that. Of course, again, a lot of people need the big production of, oh, I think he's going to ask me to marry him, and you need the music and the big ring and the yes, those are wonderful. But when it's more of an intimate little thing, it means a lot more. But of course, these are my opinions. But most importantly, in a relationship, just remember you need to have patience. You need to have caring and forgiving thoughts in a relationship because that's what's making the relationship, not that one day of the year. It's just something so important. When you say I love you, it really need to mean that. Those four little letters stand for so much. Just four little letters. Think back about when you first met that person and how important they were to you and why you said it and how nervous you were the first time you said it, because that can really, really make a difference. The other thing is don't get upset if you don't get what you wanted for Valentine's. Because it's really crazy. There's so much. I went to the store today because my granddaughter wasn't feeling well, so I went and got her some stuff. But oh my gosh, I walked in and I could not believe all the Valentine stuff. I guess because I don't really get that kind of stuff. Just so much stuff. It's overwhelming. So if you get a stuffed animal and you're like, that's all they got me, or that's all she could get me, maybe that's all they could afford. Maybe they've got a better surprise later or celebrate on a different day because, all the reservations, I mean, restaurants are booked. Everybody's trying to make this special day special. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, just remember it is a day that you should celebrate each and every day with that special someone because it is important. So I'm going to give you some more history lesson on Valentine's Day. Now, being Catholic, this is I don't know how many of you know, where did this even start and why? Well, it started many years ago, and it started off. Some of them think it's a myth, but as being raised Catholic, I've always heard this story about Saint Valentine's. And this was a priest who secretly would marry couples against the authorities. It was Emperor Claudius, and it was in the century. And they find out, and so Valentine gets thrown in the slammer, of course. But just a minute, let me go back. Track it. Oh, the reason they didn't want young men and women to marry was because they believed that single men, unmarried, made better soldiers if they were unmarried because they would concentrate more. And I kind of see that, but really, come on. When you're in love, you're in love. We all know that. So they preferred that young men not get married because they felt that they would be not to the best of their ability as a soldier, thinking about if they were to be killed and leaving wives and children and family, generally in behind if they should die. So I'm thinking Valentine figured if they're in love and want to be married, I'm just going to perform this act of matrimony with God's blessing. Okay, now so he gets thrown in the slammer. But before then, one of the judges had a daughter who was blind. And Valentine prayed over her and healed her from being blind. So the judge, Asterius was his name, became a Christian because of this. So that's a plus. So as a result, well, they did not it didn't go over well because he was sentenced as it was a 3-part execution. 3 parts, jeez. He was stoned and beaten and decapitated. But his last note before he was killed was to Asterius' daughter, and it was signed from your Valentine because they had become good friends and she would go visit him. So apparently her dad did not have any authority because the poor man was killed anyway. So that's the story of Valentine's Day. I'm not sure how many of you have ever heard that. So it's kind of like, oh, well, she was happy and earlier and telling us how much we need to love. And now she's telling us about St. Valentine's getting decapitated. But that's just the story I know. So, what are you thinking about Valentine's Day for yourself? Anything special? Because guess what? I have another morbid story to tell you about Valentine's Day. How many of you heard about the massacre, the Valentine's Day massacre? Now, this was in Chicago back in 1914. I'm 1914. Hello, 1929. When there was a lot of gangstas, mobs. And so there were some men with one mob. I think it was Al Capone. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was Al Capone. And he had some of his guys dressed as police officers, and they called out 7 of Bug Moran's gang. Now, I do remember his name. And they had him face the wall. So these guys think, oh, they're about to frisk us, Bugsy will get us out, I'm sure that's how it used to be. And then in a matter of minutes, bam, 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 they were all shot and killed. Now, the interesting thing is, well, to me, it was interesting. In Las Vegas, there is a partial piece of the brick wall from that garage place. And you can see it, and you can see the bullet holes, and it's just interesting. You can see this at the Las Vegas Mob Museum, which is, if you like museums, this is just a really interesting museum. My husband and I went there, and they have so many things, there's a lot of mob history, haha, there because it was but plan to spend plenty of hours there because there was a lot to see. But anyway, so that's interesting. So I'll stop with the horror stories of Valentine's Day. But anyway, love is great. But on this special day, let that special someone know how much they are loved by giving them flowers, fancy dinners, candy, of course, or a big Will You Marry Me show. But if you don't want to do that, just let them know you love them 365 days a year. And for those who are married, for better or worse, I hope it's better. I hope everyone has a wonderful Valentine's Day. And thank you for listening to pretty much a history lesson for February. Now, don't forget, this is an important month for Black History Month. So look up some history. You're going to be amazed at all the wonderful people and all they have done for the world. So this is Henrie. Thank you again. And go find your blessings. Oh, one more thing. By the time you hear this, everyone will know of this, the horrible earthquake in Turkey. Please pray for those people. Pray for all the horrible little wars going on. Well, of course, Ukraine is not little, but pray for all of those. This is the time of love. So pray for love and kindness that people will help each other out, and pray for Turkey because it is a sad situation over there. And please go find your blessings, not just on Valentine's Day, but each and every day. Thank you for listening.